We've made a crucial step into understanding the economy this week. We realized that we can no longer think about any economic agent as a purely isolated Homo economicus who maximizes his or her own utility subject to their own constraints and disregards everybody and everything else. We've seen that even if they are individually rational, people face consequences from the actions of others. In addition, their own actions affect the utilities and the constraints of the other people. This week, we have seen that economic agents who have populated the economy step into social interactions. The way we think about these social interactions is typically through a modeling tool, which we call game theory. A game is a highly structured interaction between two or more agents. We've seen games with two agents only this week, but in both theory and in practice especially, there are games with numerous players. We've also seen both simultaneous and sequential games. So in a game, you typically have some overarching rules of the game, which determine the market setting and the range of actions the players can take. The players are the economic agents whose interactions we want to study, and the sets of actions which they can take are typically called strategies. Playing a certain strategy leads to payoffs, which are determined not only by what you decide for your own actions, but also by the actions or strategies of other players. The others, as well as you, may be driven by self-interest. And this is the classic case of Homo economicus. However, sometimes the costs and benefits of others enter your own utility function, and you start caring about the welfare of others. In those scenarios, we model such behavior with the so-called social or other regarding preferences. Sometimes our own actions are determined not only by what we gain as a purely monetary benefit, but also by how fair that gain is relative to what others gain from the interaction. We saw this in the ultimatum game, where a significant portion of the offers was rejected because it was deemed unfair. We also saw that this sense of fairness differs significantly across countries, which comes to tell you that different societies tolerate economic inequality differently. So when people interact with each other and their actions affect the payoffs of others, it's inevitable that there are two consequences. There are conflicts of interests and significant opportunities for mutually beneficial gains. That also means that sometimes markets channel these opportunities in the right way, and society benefits significantly from economic agents acting selfishly. We saw this in the invisible hand game, where the dominant strategy equilibrium turned out to be the outcome, which is the most favorable, not only for the players themselves, but also for society as a whole. However, playing it selfish and rational can sometimes put you behind bars for much longer than necessary. The dominant strategy equilibrium in the prisoner's dilemma game led to inferior outcomes to the ones we would have observed if players were allowed to cooperate. Well, this was the essence of social dilemmas, wasn't it? Do I act completely rationally and selfishly, or I think about others as well? And if we're all allowed to cooperate in the game, society will win. Okay, so it will stay behind bars for a shorter period of time, but staying behind bars for a shorter period of time is a gain, isn't it? It's a win. So finally, we've also seen how we can achieve a better outcome for everyone by introducing a little bit of altruism into this game, into our games. Now, Our live classes will give further examples of altruistic behavior and of applications of a variety of games. What we'll focus in the next week's videos are the rules of the game. So far, we have perceived them as constant, as something set in stone, something given by God, right, if you wish, um, yeah, or by some rule maker. We've seen that the rules are powerful drivers of preferences and constraints agents face. However, what we have not seen so far is how small changes in those rules can affect economic outcomes. And you do know that rules do change in the economy. So that's why we need to study how the changes in those rules affect the way the game is played. So this is what we'll talk about next week, and of course, much more. Thanks for watching.